What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilkin. We need to talk a little bit about that new Vegeta unit that just dropped in part 3. I have absolutely been loving this unit, actually the X part, whatever. 6 of one, half dozen the other at some point. I have absolutely been loving this unit. At first I was a little on the fence about him. When he first dropped, I was like, this guy's awesome. But here's the thing, you gotta take a couple things into consideration. First things first, when I first got wind of this guy, I was like, that leader skill of him is amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. So let's take a quick look at that leader skill here, because essentially what you're looking at here is transformation boost in gifted warriors category key +3, HP 200%, attack and defense 70% with all stats plus 50% for Power Beyond Super Saiyans. Now, while I really did like this on the face of that, I've come to a realization here, and that's if we kind of go back over here, the AGL Gogeta, the one that recently dropped here earlier in the event, actually has just about everyone, if not everyone, already under that same level of leader skill. So at first I was like, oh no, did I make a mistake? Is this guy not as good as I thought? And the honest answer is, actually, I'm pretty happy with him. So let's go ahead and talk about his passive skill here, because there is a bit to his passive skill that I think we really need to discuss. And so, number one, out of the gate, chance of performing a critical hit and damage reduction up 20% on his first turn. Now, unfortunately, we see that exclamation point number 1. That means it's only when he first comes into battle for that one turn and that one turn only. Base effects are key +3 and attack and defense 200%. That's absolutely great. Damage reduction plus 50%. Another really awesome stat. As the first attacker, so he's a slot 1 unit. We already see that right out of the gate. Damage reduction 20%. Awesome. As a slot 1 or 2, he gets another attack 50% and chance of performing a critical hit plus 30%. So that first damage reduction is only really in slot 1. But that's not as bad as you would think, because essentially what that does is that covers up those weaknesses that he would have prior to doing super attacks. Once he does a super attack, remember, super attack does stack for 3 turns 33%. So in other words, every time he supers in that first turn, when he comes back around, he'll have a boost on top of that. So fantastic. When attacking, he gets another 200%, and when receiving an attack, he gets a defense 200%. So dude is just an absolute hoss. He hits hard, he tanks well, he's fantastic. I like this unit so much. But when you see the raw numbers for him, at first it's not impressive. But remember, after receiving an attack, he will get a super attack. And I can tell you, because initially when I was working with him, I had a question here. So it says, after receiving an attack, he gets an additional super attack. Not a chance for a super. When he gets a super attack, he gets another super attack. Now, in my testing, at least as far as I have seen, if he receives a super attack, but not another attack, it still activates both these, because technically he was attacked and he was attacked by a super attack. So if there's just one super attack in the front, that guarantees him 3 hits, at least as far as I've seen. That is what was my takeaway was from my testing with him. So far, so good. Absolutely splendid. Then, because I've got a dupe in him, you put another put a little bit of double attack in him. You have the potential for 4 attacks with a respectable critical rate. Now, initially when we were kind of, approaching this and asking questions about it, I thought maybe there might be some quality in giving him evasion. I can tell you right now, do not give this dude evasion, because his tanking is next damn level. I saw this dude tank a hit that knocked out the Int Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta after his active skill. Hit him for well over 2 million damage. Vegeta took double digits. This dude is on a complete other level with his tanking. He is insane. So, a little bit of critical rate, but go all the way in on double attack. You want to go all the way in double attack with a little bit of critical rate. Critical rate would be good for him, because after turn 1, he only has that 30%. So just sprinkle a little bit out there and you'll be happy. But the rest of it, all double attack with a little bit of crits. Now, let's go ahead and see what his damage is and calculate how much damage this guy is actually doing. So, little bit of math, but check this out. Okay, so we're hopping into battle here. He only has 3 links here. And let's see, did that actually say he had an attack yet? I think this would be right at the beginning of battle. Let's see, let's double check that. We're going to swap him into slot 1. Yes, this is pre-recorded. That's the way I had to end up doing this to get the numbers I wanted. So he has not produced an attack, so this is with 3 links linked up. And this is basically the first time he's attacking. And he is getting attacked first, so we should get 2, maybe potentially 3 attacks, but 2 guaranteed. Let's see kind of what he does in this particular situation. So, not the best linking partner, but a good linking partner. That first attack took it for double digits at 11.9 mil, so the better part of 12 mil out of that attack. Very good, and he's going to add another 33% on top of that, but he just knocked out his partner. We need a little bit of a harder event, or a little bit harder event. So let's go try a couple things out here. All right, so to really challenge this dude, I took him into the anniversary battles. Now, the first one was a 7 mil attack, but I will tell you it was close to, I think it was a 12.95 attack stat, 12.95 mil attack stat, with a 13 mil following it up, followed by a 14.6 mil attack stat. And I did have to calculate a potential 4th because he didn't pull off a 4th right then and there. He got a base level attack, but I reverse engineered the maths on that, and that one would have come out to be about a 15.48 million attack stat. So essentially, what's really nice here is I have him linked up with this Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and this Vegeta is like a perfect link partner for him. He gives him every single link, and therefore we basically are as good as we can get with a single dupe Vegeta. So all said and done, that was, let's see, if I add all that up, that was a 56.8 million combined attack stat for just that one turn. But it really got me thinking, because if we do mess around getting his getting his active skill and all that, he'll get an even bigger stat boost, roughly another 33%. So it should add a significant amount in there. So let's go ahead and see if we can make that happen. And spoiler alert, we kind of did. So check this out. Okay, so all said and done, it took a ton of work, and I had to jump around a bunch of different types of events just to find one where I would be able to get his active skill. Was not easy. It really was not. This dude trounced all of the anniversary battles. I mean, all the way up to anniversary 9, this guy basically soloed them. I could not get his active skill off. It took finding the longest possible event. I started with like some of the legendary events. He one-shot all those. Like, I could not get his active skill out. So it took finding a really long event. And here we have one, finally, where we were able to get 5 full attacks off without any interruptions. Let's see how he does here. And looks like there's a super attack in front of this, and several other attacks. So he's got every single link skill linked up. He's done 7 attacks, 5 super attacks. Let's see how this pans out. So remember, he's going to do an attack here along with boosting everything else. He boosts all of his other attacks 33%. So that is a 12 mil attack or 12 mil attack, and we can kind of reverse engineer how much of an attack stack equivalent that would be based on what we see here. So let's see what his actual attack stat is once he actually gets going, and then how much damage we actually see out of him. So don't need to give him a lot of orbs. He doesn't need orbs. His attack isn't based on orbs. So yeah, I just want to make sure we feed everybody up here. Now, I know that Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is kind of weak. He ain't the greatest, but he was really good for linking up, and I wanted max links for this test. So, number 1, our attack stat here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're getting attacked first. So let's get past the attacks. Notice he just tanked their super for 71 damage. What's Ribrian going to do? Ribrian's a finisher. Ribrian's supposed to be an absolute hoss. She did 183k, which I'm willing to bet she's supposed to do like 20 times that. Okay, so that was an 18 mil attack stat that did 14 mil damage with a crit. Let's see what his other attack stat is. 19.4 mil attack stat. Remember, this is 33% boosted because of his active skill. So he's just going to get crazy damage out of it. 15.4 mil with a crit. Is he going to get one that's not going to crit? 20 mil attack stat. And 12.7 with a crit. 21.4 mil attack stat. And is this one going to crit as well? Okay. 3,121,498 million non-critical damage. So we can kind of reverse engineer this real quick and give you both what the attack stat equivalent would have been with for his active skill and how much damage he would do if he crit on all 5 attacks. So let's take a look at this real quick, and I'll be right back with some maths. Okay, so I did all the math out, and even I don't believe the numbers. So I reverse engineered this as best I could. It's not perfect maths, but, basically the way I calculated it was up against the androids. We were type advantage, so basically I doubled any numbers that we received, or in the case of reverse engineering, cut it in half. And against Ribrianne, I did it the other way around. So against Ribrianne, Vegeta hit a 21.4 for 3.121 and a 20.42 for 12.7 mil critical. So criticals were about 62% of overall damage, and non-criticals, by that math, were about 14% of damage. So using those numbers to kind of reverse engineer this, and considering the fact that, you can't really math out criticals per se against the androids, so I assumed the androids did about, received about double what they normally would otherwise. So with the androids, they received a total damage package. Well, the androids themselves received damage from the critical hit in the realm of, well, as you saw earlier, 12.14 million attack. Now, reverse engineering that, I came out to an estimate of about 41.7 million attack stat, which is about double, a little more than double what the numbers that we see coming out of his actual attack, which does kind of track and make sense. That's a crazy attack stat, though. That is nuts. 41.7 million attack stat equivalent just from his active skill. Then taking into account, we saw one attack at 18.4 million, another attack at 19.4 million, another at 20 million, and I calculated that out. The first two we saw were critical hits. If they were non-crits, they would be 2.6 mil, 2.8 mil, followed by 2.9 mil. Then the last one was 3.1, though, again, probably would have done... Actually, the first two would have done a little bit more. They would have been like in the 4 to 5 mil range. But nevertheless, we saw the attack stats. So when you add 41.7, 18.4, obviously I added the full numbers, so the numbers can be a little bit higher. 14. So attack number... active skill, we're going to call that attack number 1. 41.7 million. I'm going to go 41,701,696 is what I calculated out, roughly. Followed by the 18.4, the 19.4, 20.4, and 21.4 brought me to a sum total of, and I hope you're sitting down, 121 million. In fact, my full calculation was 121,404,338 attack stat. And if you calculate that out, if you were going like with a super effective attack, well, it doesn't really matter. That's a stupid attack stat. That is insane. This guy is completely bonkers. And I want to emphasize, everybody here is capable of tanking hits really, really well. So he's not even working at his full potential. Now, that is also with every link skill linked up, and you're rarely going to have that in a real-world scenario. But I also want to emphasize, he's only got one dupe. So I am 100% going back in, and I'm going to try to completely max this dude out. We're going to try to walk away with him Skittles, because holy crap, this guy is completely nuts. Let me know what you guys thought of this analysis. I'll put all the maths down below in the comments as always, and in the description. But for now, like, share, comment, all the good stuff, and I'll be back with a lot more coming up soon.